Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back, or welcome to Indie Please Add Details, Episode 9. My name's Keegan, one half love, 2 gamers, hanging out with my buddy Tom. I kind of slurred my word there. How you doing today, Tom?
I'm all right, man. I've missed you.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Well, I feel like
it's been a week.
You actually,
and also, it's been a week.
You actually told me the other day, I feel like I've talked to you for a while. I was like, that's true, because I've been in my own little bubble.
Yeah.
I isolated. I'd work things, so I had to stay up late, and then I was prepping to stay up late, and I was like,
You are a perpetual hermit crab.
I always stay up real late, though.
Yeah, you
I
do.
always stay up real late.
What, have you been playing Destiny too?
Yeah. We didn't finish the raid. We made it to the boss and didn't finish it this week. So resets today as we're recording. Yesterday, if you're listening.
Gotcha.
Well, if you are listening. If I said that.
How long do you see that holding your attention? Because you were like heavy on it, and now I think you're like still on it, but not necessarily.
So I'm endgame on 2 characters. I'm got to do a 3rd one.
Okay.
And then it's just finishing as they release content.
So
it's
disappointed to get to endgame this quickly?
No, because I'm excited to go back to other games. So I played Overwatch this weekend because the the Halloween event's coming up or going on. The Elder Scrolls Halloween event was announced, so that's coming up. So it'll give me. I'm kind of happy that this is falling the way it is.
Got ya.
So then I have time to go back to
and
those
it can
other
still
games
stay on the back burner a little bit.
You can still hop in, do your daily things, and then get out type thing. Kind of like I was doing for Elder Scrolls for a little while there.
There you go.
But those of you who don't know, this is Indie Please Add Detail. This is our weekly dip into the world of indie games and indie developers, where we discuss the news and our indie excursions throughout the week. It's been a week since I've said this. It's real weird.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could just like nail it first time.
Topping it all off with a topic of discussion. I was good until then. Topic discussion. You can join. You can listen to us on your favorite podcast services or see our lovely faces on YouTube.
Hi.
You can also follow us on Twitter at Level2Gamers or Level2GamersSTL. Words. I can't word right now. To continue the discussion online or offline, kind of both, follow us on Twitter and or Discord, link down below.
I mean, offline would be coming around our eyes. It should just be online, I suppose.
Well, off the show is what I mean.
Off
air is what I should say.
Off air, online.
That's weird.
You like that better?
I would screw that up.
Off air, online.
I would screw that up. I already screwed it up, so it's fine.
It's whatever.
But let's jump into detail number 1.
Hey.
And this was a game I talked about, well, I was going to say last episode, 2 weeks ago. Cuphead. Cuphead has officially sold 1 million copies.
And they're pumped about it, too.
Those of you who are listening, I put my pinky to my mouth like Dr. Evil.
He did do that.
If you're watching, you saw it, so that's just redundant for you. But those listeners can't see me. Oh, no. This is from GameSpot. The wait for Cuphead was a long one. Advertisements.
Get them advertisements in.
First being featured during Microsoft's E3 press conference of 2014, at which point it had already been in development for several years. Despite being on the market for just 2 weeks so far, the ultra-difficult action game has already reached major sales milestone. On its website today, and this was on October 14th, developer Studio MDHR announced that Cuphead has gone platinum, having sold more than 1 million copies since launch. It did not provide any breakdown between Xbox One and PC, which are the only 2 platforms Cuphead is currently available on. We have worked tirelessly over the past few years to deliver a game that remained true to our vision, and we're both humbled and excited that so many people around the world are playing Cuphead. It truly makes it all worth it, wrote developers Chad and Jared Moldenhauer. Cuphead was developed and published by Studio MDHR with help from Microsoft, hence the current exclusivity. Xbox boss Phil Spencer spoke with us about the game recently and admitted he hadn't beaten Cuphead yet, but he has a good excuse. I'm sure if I click that link, there's the reason he didn't beat it.
Probably just because he's Phil
He also
Spencer.
alluded to positive sales and that he didn't get into any specific, although he didn't get any specifics at the time. I'm happy for the studio, he said. They worked a long time on the game, and to have the success they're having selling very well, the reactions have been great. It's fantastic. When those things come together, it's great.
Yeah, good on him.
So,
well said.
This was interesting. So this was the first game that I think, outside maybe like Halo, well, even Halo didn't really. I think Halo's in its grandeur for the Xbox platform. This was the first game where in the social media realms, that people are like, I'm buying an Xbox for this game. And that's what Microsoft's been needing. And clearly it sold well. I played it. You want to play it. It's a great, fantastic platformer. It's hard as balls, but it's not.
So says everyone, yeah.
But it's not to the point where it's. I think the prettiness makes it less angry when you lose.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. Like it's a game you've never played before and you want to experience it, but you're like, God damn it. 2-player, it's way easier, by the way, because you can save each other.
Oh,
so we should do a co-op at some point. But yeah, I'm excited for these guys. This is like I said, this was Xbox and Microsoft's kind of
the thing about
game they've had.
That
outside of PUBG
interests me is that, like, even though Microsoft had a big hand in getting it finished and everything, it still was very much like an indie passion project, labor of love by the studio.
The dudes mortgaged their house.
Yeah, they mortgaged their house to put this game together. So I mean, they're living the aesthetic of an indie studio. So money from Microsoft aside, I mean, this is two guys that put a lot of work into something that meant a lot to them. They pulled off a completely unique experience, and it's getting the praise that it deserves.
And from reports of people, it's gone through multiple iterations, because it used to be only bosses, then it went to platforming.
I remember that.
Which, from the people I watch in the industry, said it was garbage.
Yeah.
Then it went to platforms and bosses, and it went platforms, no bosses, to boss levels.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So they divided it up. It was kind of, but what came out is amazing, outside of a few things that should have been tweaked. But they're not to the point where I'm like, I hate this game.
Nothing game.
It's like anything else. There's always things you can improve in any game.
For sure. And I'm sure they'll learn in Cuphead 2 whenever that releases next year or whatever.
Oh, it won't be.
Probably not next year.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It takes a long time to make that game. Yeah.
But they already have the engine and everything, so it could theoretically be quicker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited for these guys, though. Indie games that do really well is always fun. Detail number 2. Did you hear this one, Tom? IGN buys Humble Bundle. No. Do you know why I put this in here?
No.
Because Humble Bundle. Say that 10 times fast. Humble Bundle is basically a place where you can go in and you choose how much you want to pay, and based on how much you pay is what you get back. And they usually include a lot of indie games, which is why I brought them in here.
Gotcha.
So my first reaction, like a lot of people, is why?
Yeah.
So let me read the statement here from VG247. Humble Bundle has been purchased by IGN Entertainment. In a statement on its website, Humble Bundle announced IGN Entertainment had acquired the charity and online game store. Humble co-founder Jeffrey Rosen said IGN would help the company continue its quest to promote awesome digital content while helping charity. We chose IGN because they really understood our vision, share our passion for games, and believe in our mission, said Rosen. IGN Executive VP Mitch Galbraith said the company doesn't plan on changing any Humble Bundle or anything Humble Bundle or the Humble Bundle store is doing, because if it's not broken, don't fix it. IGN has been courting the company for nearly a year, Gamasutra was told.
Yeah, they did.
The idea is just to feed them the resources they need to continue what they're doing, he said. You can read the full statement regarding the Humble Bundle purchase on the Humble blog. Over 7 years, Humble has been around. It has served 10 million customers and raised over $106 million for charity.
So this raises an interesting question in my mind. So you have a press outlet in the way of IGN buying a company that puts out a sort of a selection of kind of pay what you want or pay tiers for a bunch of games. Is that a conflict of interest?
It could be if they promote it more than something else. Like if they run the way I look at it is if they run an ad for Humble Bundle.
I'm just going to take a second to breathe and say that I made a question that made you think for longer than
a
second.
Well, I was trying to think how I wanted to phrase this answer.
Sure.
If they run an ad on their website and they say, "Hey, here's Humble Bundle, here's what it is," no issue with it. If they only start covering indie games inside of Humble Bundle, then it's an issue. Or if they only if they give those more press because of it.
Because there's already, and I don't know enough about IGN to get us a slander lawsuit, but I do know that there's enough sort of rumors going around that they've already kind of accepted money from certain companies for higher scores. Now,
so is GameSpot. That's why Jeff Gerstmann left.
Right. So, and I'm sure this is sort of somewhat rampant in the industry regardless, but at the same time, like if you have someone that's buying a Humble Bundle, I guess the only saving grace
Humble
is
Bundle is really hard to say 10 times fast.
I know. They're not gonna necessarily know what's going to be in a Humble Bundle. Would be the only saving grace of it, because it is something that get kind of put together after the games have already been out for a while.
Yeah, and
that's kind of less scary.
And I'm interested to see kind of if because just because they own it doesn't mean, because I look at it. I'm gonna use the example of D'Addario because I used to work there. So D'Addario, like the company, is the company. Underneath that, they have the brands D'Addario Strings, Evans Drumheads, Rico Reeds, ProMark Sticks. and HQ sound drum accessories like sound pads and stuff like that. To me, this is kind of like that, where D'Addario is a
like the Humble Bundle will be a subsidiary of IGN.
Because you've got like with D'Addario, they sell Evans drum heads. They will push HQ or ProMark sticks on you, but they don't necessarily they can't force you to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like you said, as long as they're just advertising it, and that's fine. Because they're allowed to do that. Whether they own it or not, they should advertise it.
Yeah,
but, you know,
because it's a good thing.
It's a good.
The other thing they need to do too is if they put it somewhere is to say, hey, like if they put it somewhere that's a bit sketchy, is say, hey, we own this. Like at the bottom, IGN Entertainment is a subsidiary of Ziff Davis and wholly owned by J2 Global. So like
they're already a subsidiary.
Yeah,
so that subsidiary of a subsidiary.
Yeah.
Subsidiaryception.
That's actually 3 subsidiaries.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Subsidiaryception.
Yeah. So something like that. I mean, most people don't read that, but that is for legal reasons. They would probably have to do that. So.
And if you are a fan of Humble Bundle and you do want to pick up Humble Bundles, go see our friend Easily, Easy ILII, I believe it is, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, she is in partnership with them, so she gets benefits when you do Humble Bundle through her, and I think you might even get discounts or something.
And charities get benefits.
I'm not sure, and yeah, of course, it's for charity, so why not?
Next one here is we continue on Switch games selling really well.
Yeah.
The Flame in the Flood on Nintendo Switch best PS4 day 1 sales.
Oh, interesting.
The Switch continues to impress developers from all walks of the industry. Apparently, The Flame in the Flood, which I've never heard of, to be honest, had its most successful sales day in 2017 on the Nintendo Switch earlier this week, including its launch of PS4. The news comes thanks to the game's publishing director Simon Bryan of Curve Digital, who took to Twitter to announce its successful launch. This is his quote. "What a week! Flame in the Flood has absolutely smashed it on Switch, and Bomber Crew is our most wishlist game prior to launch ever." More specifically, talking to outlet MBC, Bryan's had this to say. "Indeed, it's fair to say it's been our best day ever on any console since we've ever been publishing it, beating any other format we have launched on. It's done just under half of our full month forecast in a day."
Wow.
That's good to hear. Worth noting, Digital Curve came out on as a publisher after the launch of the original Xbox or PC and Xbox One release, but before The Flame in the Flood, the complete edition came out on PS4. So this isn't indicative of the best one-day sales for the entire game's history, and Nintendo Switch has at the least broken the record for 2017 sales, including its launch on PS4. It's currently good news for the burgeoning indie market on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's great.
So they go on to say, if you're unfamiliar, which I was, it's a roguelike adventure game.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's a decent one.
I'd never heard of it.
It was, I can't remember like round about when it got super popular, but it was one of those ones that they put a lot of effort into kind of advertising at the time. Beautiful aesthetic and everything. But why this is important to me is because it says a couple things. It says, number one, that the Switch market is hungry for games.
Nintendo Switch is shipping 2 million units a month right now.
Oh yeah, they're still killing it. They're doing really well, and I'm really happy for them.
And Mario's coming. So
and Mario hasn't even come out yet.
So you know that's
Mario's already been given perfect score by a lot of people, which is interesting. But no, but the fact that
I'm on blackout right now for Mario.
Are you?
Yeah.
All I know is everyone says it's
dope. I mean, I've watched enough footage to know what I'm getting into.
But you have these indie games like Sonic Mania and like Golf Story and that kind of stuff that have been coming out for the Switch, and because they just handle so much better on that machinery, because they are bite-sized chunks, they're just, people are flocking to it, and they're so hungry for games. If you go through that store, you can be done in a very quick period of time compared to, obviously the PS4 store, which has had plenty of time to build up its base. So whereas a game like The Flame in the Flood might be something that when it releases on the PS4 is just like, oh yeah, maybe I've heard of that, but maybe not. You may have to dig deeper, or it's definitely not going to be up there next to the AAAs. But on a Switch, a game of this magnitude, which we know already has critical acclaim behind it, people are going to be looking for it and excited to play it, because a lot of these people that have the Nintendo Switch don't necessarily have a PS4 or an Xbox.
So one of the things, back to when I was bashing the Switch when they first announced it, because again I was a Wii U guy that got burned.
Video. We should show that.
It's
in fact,
on our channel.
I'm editing, so I can show that behind. This is Keegan bashing Nintendo.
But I was mad at Nintendo, and the reason I was mad, I said they needed a roadmap, they needed AAA, and they needed to fill in the gaps. What have they done so far? They've given us a roadmap. Granted, that roadmap was very fuzzy at first, but it's starting to become more and more
internet
clear.
thing still bothers me, but other than that,
Yeah, but it's Nintendo. Like, to me, I'm not expecting that because it's Nintendo. But for them to be competitive, they have given us the basically one a month big game, and then the indie games have filled in between really, really well. I'm interested still to see the third-party games that run on it. Obviously, Doom was announced. Skyrim's coming. Like, I'm interested to see how those run.
interesting that Skyrim's been not already come out. You know what I mean? I feel like I thought they would have had that pretty ready if they were making it such a huge part of their initial launch spiel.
Unless they have to configure some stuff.
Is that the scientific term?
Yeah, configure. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm to the point where I want to pick up a Switch. Like a lot of people, I was very burned on the Wii U. I was I don't want to say I was against it, but I was very hesitant of Nintendo. I was very adamant, saying, "Hey, I'm not on board yet because you've said this before and you've not shown it." They've now said it and they started showing it. So as long as they continue doing this,
so you're feeling good.
Yeah,
feeling good about
even
the future
like
of the
think
Switch.
about it right now for Nintendo Switch. Like for big games, we have this year Zelda, ARMS, Splatoon, Odyssey, Rabbids, which came out of fucking nowhere, Skyrim, and then next year you already have Yoshi announced, Kirby. I'm sure there's gonna be a Smash somewhere, Pokemon,
Star Fox maybe.
I think Star Fox it came out too late on the Wii U to be ready for the Switch next year.
Maybe.
But I think there will be one.
They could have been working on a
Just not
handheld one that they can just upscale.
No, because the handheld version is way different than the console version.
True.
So I'm gonna pop your balloon there.
Gonna put a kibosh on it. All right.
But yeah, but they've given us the roadmap, and that's the one thing I've asked, and that's the one thing I keep saying now with VR is VR. They just did that blog of like, here's 60 games coming. I was like, thank you. That's all I wanted to see.
I mean, saw that, and I was like, I'm sending this fucker to Keegan right now.
There's other things that still have issues with it, but that's like to me, I want to know what I'm buying into.
Yeah.
Like anybody else.
What does the future look like for this device?
Because it's cool you have these 4 things now, but if you have 4, again, the Wii U situation, you had the Mario at launch, and then you're like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
And then Mario Maker happened.
I think that says more about Nintendo's ability or inability to convey things. Like, they have the hardest time just trying to tell you about something because they have to do it in this weird, quirky Nintendo way, and they can never just be straight. Like, even when like the Wii U came out, it took a week for them to explain that the controller is different to the console. You know?
They're not directs anymore. Whatever the hell they call them, they're showcases.
Yeah,
I love it because it's literally no, the Treehouse is E3.
Those are fun too, though.
But the showcase, it's like, here's a video. It's basically a Nintendo Direct, but here's a video. Here's the sidebar of what we're going through. They keep question marks on certain things, so you can't tell what it is until it gets there, and it scrolls through, and you're like, oh, I got this, this, and this. Or they're really good at saying, hey, this is what this Direct is going to be about. It's all it's going to have.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I kind of wish that would surprise me every so often, but at this point, I've expected
everyone
Nintendo
prefers
not
the
to be.
surprises, but when you look at how they do a conventional keynote, it's abysmal. You remember the Switch keynote with all the crazy, like, time to switch to another project.
Here's me laying on a couch.
Yeah.
That was dumb.
It was weird.
That was dumb.
I don't know.
But I'm super excited for the Switch, as I've now will state. I have changed my perception on it, and
it's official. Mark it in your calendars. Jay Keegan was
this is longer
happy
ago
about the Switch.
But yeah, there's I've had debates with people, and I still stand behind what I said before. Like, I'm not backing down from what I said. I just think Nintendo has proven to me that what I said they needed to do, they've been doing. Like you said, the online element, I want to see kind of how that works, but I'm less concerned about that.
I still can't believe they haven't figured that out yet. It
fucking
drives
Nintendo.
me insane. But I know, but like, Sony and Microsoft have been doing it for so many years.
Well, Microsoft has been doing it since the 80s.
Yeah, so you're just like,
they're Microsoft.
There has to be a way for you
just poach people from Microsoft.
Well, either that or just ask them. Just be like, hey guys, like, we really suck at the online thing. Can you tell us how you do it? What do you use? Like, because the friend code thing is fucking stupid. It's always been stupid.
But you're friends.
But why can't you just have a username and do that like everyone else in the world?
Because they're friends and they have codes. It's secret codes, like secret agents, Tom.
What else you got?
Detail number 4. Cat Quest focuses his attention on a PlayStation 4 release date with a new Punny trailer.
Punny trailer?
Punny trailer.
Is punny a pun on funny?
Yes.
God damn it.
If you've been waiting for a PS4 announcement before sinking your claws into the meaty cat RPG goodness that is the Gentle Bros Cat Quest, then you're liable to get your hackles raised with today's news. Jordan Loafer from DualShockers, that was a hell of a sentence. The game now has a PS4 release date. According to a statement released by the Singapore-based developer and publisher P Cubed Limited, the PlayStation 4 release of Cat Quest will be on November 10th in Europe and November 14th in North America. Regardless of where you reside, that means you're less than a month away from diving paws first into this cat venture. Jesus. These damn puns. Cat Quest is currently available for PC and Mac via Steam for $12.99, as well as iOS and Android for $4.99. When the game releases on PS4, it will cost $19.99 according to Amazon pre-order prices for North America and Europe. The game is also expected to launch on Nintendo Switch, but no further information has been provided just yet. For more information, you can visit the developer's website or its Steam page. And then below on this, the link is the trailer for it. The Gentle Bros have also provided a couple dev diaries explaining the choices they made in creating Cat Quest, including why they made the game about cats and how the gameplays and art styles were designed.
Why the game?
I really want you to look at this trailer when we're done because it is.
Well, the trailer will be behind us if it hasn't already finished the reel by now.
I'm gonna mute this though because it's literally a cat RPG.
So, if you remember when we went to Comic-Con,
Indie Pop.
it was WizCon.
Was it?
Was Cattails, yeah.
Wasn't it? I thought it was Indie Pop.
No. And at least, I don't think so.
I think it was. It was Indie Pop.
Whatever.
One of those.
We saw Cattails, which was basically, it was like a cat RPG, but you were a genuine cat. You weren't like a sword fighty cat. Like
this is a sword fighty cat.
One.
This is a cat venture, Tom. It's not a cat RPG.
No, it was just, you're just a cat. And that was like, that to me was funnier, but also more potentially interesting. So this just looks like a random.
It's an RPG. It's like Golf Story. It's an RPG with a cat skin.
Yeah,
is what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's I mean, I'll watch it with the sound on and see if it's funny or whatever.
It's got epic music. I'll tell you that much.
It does. Okay.
Yeah, it's got some
well,
pretty epic
there
music.
you go. That's one to watch for then. Cat Quest. Is it Cat Quest? Cat
Quest. Cat Quest.
To go on your cat venture.
What was the other? Oh, I clicked the link out. What was
Too
the
many
other?
puns.
The pause. Jump pause first into it.
Don't remember.
That is your news for this week, though. We had Cuphead selling 1 million copies. We had IGN buying the Humble Bundle. We had The Flame and the Flood and more indie games doing really well on Switch. And Cat Quest focuses on PS4 or focuses his attention on a PS4 launch.
Meow.
Very punny. Very punny. That being said, let's jump into some spotlights. And since we missed last week, I got two. Okay. One came out. Ow, I smacked my head on the mic. One came out a couple weeks ago, and one actually comes out, I'm pretty sure the day this video is released, this audio is released. I want to double check that, though, before I say that, because I think it's true. It doesn't tell me, it just says 2017. I believe it's Tuesday.
Okay.
I know the review embargo is already up, which is why I can talk about it.
Cool.
The long form video embargo is not up, so stay tuned. There will be gameplay footage of it. I've got it recorded. I just can't. It'll be released on Friday, which is when the embargo goes off for that. Those of you who don't know, an embargo means we can't release. We got the game early, can't release the content until it happens. But this game I'm talking about is The Inner World: The Last Wind Monk, and I'm going to read the description and the history because it's the second in a series.
Okay.
I did not play the first, so I was like, hold up, and then I'll tell you my impressions of it.
Go for it.
So, the story continues in 2017 with the highly anticipated sequel to our successful adventure game. Solve mind-bending puzzles in Esposia and discover a world full of mystery and secrets. Play as Robert, Laura, and Peck the Pigeon to save the family of Flute Noses and meet a bunch of crazy characters along the way. History. The Flute Nose dynasty has been watching over Esposia for centuries on end. In secret, they fill the roly-poly world with light and life. Emil, a traitor for odds and ends, has led all the Esposians astray, making them believe that the dynasty is in cahoots with dark forces. Seriously, who knows what this weird family's doing day in and day out? The only one who could stop evil Emil is the heir to the Flute Nose throne, Robert, which is who you play as. He has been petrified for 3 years, though, with a huge dose of enthusiasm, but little to no idea what he's actually doing. He embarks on an adventure to find the legendary Last Wind Monk. Of course, he has some great company, Peck, as loyal as he is flightless, and Laura, a rebel who certainly does fly, but only off the handle, and who is Robert's love with a capital L, by the way. A final ray of hope is provided in the mysterious Mama Dola, which seems to be more about Robert's destiny than Robert himself.
Okay. Got it.
That's the background.
Fiddle noses.
Flute noses.
Flute noses.
Flute noses. So yeah, they literally have flute noses. So the story, when you start up the game, first of all, I like this because the art style. The art style is amazing, and it's, again, I'm one of those people that's a sucker for cool, cartoonish looking style. It's 2D. It's a point-and-click adventure type game where you have to go puzzle solving by clicking here. And I told you, this is the game I was talking about where it just fucking sucked, the first puzzle, because I could not figure out the controls. Like, it's one of those games where, like, learn controls, push a button, here's the controls. I was like, okay, think I got it. And then you push it, goes away. You can always bring it back up.
Right.
But it's just like, oh, Jesus. So, you start out, and you have the story of the flute noses, the flute nozzles, if you may, if that's the plural of noses.
It's nozzle? I don't think nozzles is
nozzles.
Plural for noses. Noses is plural for nose.
Noses, yeah.
Anyway.
But anyways, they tell the story of kind of, to power how Robert gets it starts with, like, a mob against a dude who's not Robert. And there are people trying to defend him, all this kind of stuff, and it ends up being telling the story of what happened in the first game, I'm guessing.
Okay, so before you get too far in, describe the layout to me. Is it like a Double Fine game, like a Day of the Tentacle, or...
Yes. It's a 2D where you can walk in 3D kind of space, but not really. Like, there is, on the ground, you can move in Z space. Hashtag Z space.
Z space.
Or you can move, obviously, X and Y. So, the first thing you do when you first land, you see Robert, who is going to end up being your main character, in stone. And you get the story of how they petrify the creatures and how you can depetrify with special eyes and all this kind of stuff. You solve the puzzle, you have to click a couple things, and it's like, knock on a door, see what happens. Okay, that happened. That didn't do anything. Knocks on this second one, see what happens. Pull this vine, see what happens. Like, it's very much trial and error of, like, it doesn't tell you what to do. The issue I have was, like I said, the controls. So, the only way I got it to work successfully every time is you have to walk up. You can push L1 to pull up I'm playing this on PlayStation. I think it's on Xbox as well. But you push L1 to pull up a little dot, and they call it an action point, which shows you all the places you can walk up to, which I loved, because I'm like, where the fuck can I...
Is that like detective mode in Batman or whatever? Just shows you the shit you're supposed to be kind of going for.
It can kind of, yeah. And then when you walk up to it, I still have to hold L1, and then if I hold X, it'll interact with it, and then a menu pops up based on what I have. So the beginning of the game, you only have, like, if you play as Peck the pigeon, you have the option of pecking at something, or if you can pick something up, it'll let you grab it as well. You also then have an inventory, so you can pick stuff up, so Peck will pick up. So the first puzzle, I guess I'll kind of
pick up a humble bundle.
I'll kind of spoil the first puzzle here, but the first puzzle, basically, there's the creature that petrifies things, the dragon-looking thing. You have to remove its eyes and put the depetrifying eyes in, and then push the button to depetrify Robert. So what you do is there's plants that have the depetrifying eyes, so you have to grab the petrifying eyes out of the dragon, put them into the plant, because if you go to just the plant immediately, it'll eat it and go to another plant. So you got to stop him from doing that. So then you grab that. So that's in your inventory. And then from there, it continues on with puzzle solving. And so far, I'm probably 3 or 4 hours into it. And it's the scenery's varied. I think that 3 or 4 hours is just because I suck at puzzle solving. Let's be honest. But it's an interesting game. The controls just drive me crazy. That's why I stopped.
So you have to hold down L1 to press.
I don't know if you have to, but that's the only way I've gotten it successfully to do it.
Weird.
Because the reason I do it is when you go over something, it highlights in yellow.
Gotcha.
Versus I'm sure I could, but I could not hit the damn, like, no matter how hard I tried. You can watch in the video that comes out on Friday, and I'm sure it'll be behind us. I was just literally just flying around trying to interact with stuff, and I was like, what the hell do I do? Because again, it doesn't explain it very well. Once you get it, you're like, okay, this is all right. I can work with this.
So you think the tutorial could have been perhaps a little bit more robust
than just here's the controls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because a lot of indie games skimp on the tutorial. I find because they're so desperate.
But
the fact that
it was a 3-button press is what got me.
Yeah.
Like that's
a little excessive.
That's what got me kind of upset, because if it was just like hover over and push, that's what I tried to hover over and push X, and it didn't work.
Right.
And that's where I was like, what am I missing? So then I pulled up the menu and be like, what am I missing here? The other cool thing that I liked is they do have hints. So okay. I'm again not good at puzzle games at all, and what I like about the hints is it's kind of like a scroll, so you can say it's your current quest you're on, and you click it, and it's like, here's step 1. Maybe you should, like, the step 1 on the first puzzle is maybe you should pull a vine somewhere.
Gotcha.
And you go, okay, I'm looking for a vine. Not all the hints are as blatant as that. Some of it is like, there was one that was what was the hint? It was that branch is too flimsy or something like that. So you have to figure out a way to make the branch less flimsy.
Gotcha.
To be able to, because you had to use it.
So
as
it gives
a
you
ladder.
enough to chew on.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I can figure that one out, and
right.
then it's because you're like, okay, I know what I need to do now. How do I do it versus trying to figure out what you need to do?
So it's all point and click. What's the end game?
The end game is to get the last wind monk.
Okay,
Like,
and
that's
then
the
what's
goal.
like what would that do?
That would free the town of the evil people.
So
So
is
the
it-
wind monks are gods, essentially, is the best way to describe
okay.
it. So there's four
Do you
gods.
think it's like Avatar? I mean, he was a wind monk, wasn't he?
Maybe, I
He
don't
was
know.
a monk
I'm
that
not
could
an
control the wind.
Avatar
I mean, I
fan.
don't know how better a definition you get of wind monk
he's
than that.
an airbender.
Yeah, well, air.
That's
was
not a wind monk.
All right.
It's an airbender.
Just saying.
But no, there's four gods, and basically from the story, and again, I'd not played the first one. The world you live on is circle, and there's a wind monk on each of the four corners, and three of them are there, and one of them's not. And the guy who's ruling the town has convinced people that the flute noses are behind all the bad things that have happened, even though it's technically him. So you got to go discredit him and find the last wind monk, because the last wind monk will then say, "Hey, actually, this is not us. This is him doing it."
It sounds semi-religious in its imagery.
It is.
Honestly. Like
Yeah,
a lot of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
definitely
interesting.
is. But it was fun. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it just because I don't tend to not like these type of games. But if you're a fan of point and click, the only major gripe I'll have, kind of objectively, is the controls.
Okay.
Outside of that, it was really interesting. The other little gripe I had was, I don't know, because I solve puzzles way in random orders, because that's what you do in your game. You're like, I can't solve this. So there's puzzles, and it's like, I first assumed every puzzle would be solved on the same screen.
Right.
Because that's like, oh, yeah, you're in an area that should solve a puzzle in there. Turns out, in some of the areas, you have to go to a second area to either pick up an item and then come back, or vice versa.
So there's some backtracking
You have to sit. But the backtracking, I mean, when I say back, it's literally one screen back. It's not like you're going 4 towns over.
You might not find all the answers to your puzzle in one screen.
Correct. And having the hints helps. So it's like, for one of the quests I was on
Leave
was
the screen, dummy.
yeah. Well, no. Well, one of the quests I was on is like a minecart, and it's like, okay, we need to find a way to distract the guard. I was like, oh, so there's the guard. How do I distract him? Let me go tap on everything and see what happens. So things like that. So it was. I would probably, and I'll hopefully gonna finish a review of it here. That'll go up, but I would give it probably a 7.5, 8.
I'm definitely interested to look at
It
it.
was-
I
yeah.
like point and click adventures personally. I'm a big fan of Double Fine and the games that they put out, and this does have a really kind of cute aesthetic to it as far as the cartoony nature of it,
Yeah.
like you said. So
I'd give it probably 7.5.
I'm semi-intrigued.
7.5 and an 8, because it's not a bad game. It's by no stretch the game of the year, but it also is one. It's one of those games that is good gap filler for something else. So like,
Gotcha.
if you want to go in and you want to, I don't know how long it is.
Just
That's
a
the other thing.
solid indie title.
Yeah, it's worth picking up. Price is $40 on Xbox and PS4, which includes the first game,
That's
and then
not bad. At least they give you the first
and then
one.
$30 if you buy just this game. So
Is the first game like a remaster, or is it just standard?
I'm assuming it's just, I didn't get it, so I don't know, because we got the key for just the new game.
Gotcha.
So I'm guessing it's probably the same version. I don't know what platform it came out on.
You would think they probably would have hyped it up a bit if it was a remaster.
Yeah, that's my guess. So it's a cute game. It's a lot of fun. The art style, like I said, is what makes this game, and I've enjoyed my time in it outside of learning controls. But once you got that down, it was fine. And then once you like, okay, I have to go to other screens to solve puzzles. But the thing that saves this game more than anything else, that hint detail, because again, you know how bad we are at puzzles.
Yeah.
Just give us a clue of what we need to do. Like
Yeah.
there's times you're like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
what I'm doing.
if I got no direction, no waypoint, no nothing, then I get frustrated real fast.
So they fix that. And what's really cool is you can actually choose how far down. So if you want to do it one at a time, you can, or you can unveil the whole thing and follow the
Gotcha.
sequence of events, which I did once because I just wanted to see kind of how quick they could solve it based on the hints.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, the inner world, The Last Wind Monk, is out now on PS4, Xbox One. $40 if you want
Check
the original
her out.
game, $30 if you want the just the newest game. I'm wondering if anybody played the original.
Do you feel like your experience was hampered by not having played the original?
No, because they did a really good job of telling what happened in the original.
They give you a good
the first opening cutscene is just it's gorgeous. The other issue I had was the facial animation was a bit off, so like the voice acting and the faces, because I'm an animation guy. Like somebody would go ooh, and instead of being ooh, it was. For those of you who can't see me, literally just mouth opening and closing. It wasn't like ooh as in a circle.
There wasn't a lot of thought put into it.
Yeah, right. It was just like bup, 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 bup. So no, I didn't, because they did a really good job of catching me up. I think if I'd played the first game, I would have gotten probably Easter eggs and stuff that had been dropped here and there, but
Interesting.
nothing really.
All right, what else you got?
The other one I got, and this is the one that I have been playing outside of Destiny. It's called Battle Chasers: The Night War. I had to look because I always screw up that name. Battle Chasers: The Night War. And I'm going to read the description of this as well, just so you have an understanding of it.
Please do.
Battle Chasers Night War is an American-made JRPG, which is oxymoron, but you know, dungeon crawling based on the best-selling Battle Chasers comic series by Joe Madureira and inspired by JRPG greats such as Final Fantasy. I'm going to have you come in here, Suikoden, Chrono Trigger, and Phantasy Star. It's developed by Airship Syndicate, funded through Kickstarter, and published by THQ Nordic. The game features beautiful environments, gorgeously animated strategic turn-based combat system, and handcrafted dungeon rooms, which are randomly arranged for different experience each time. Players will battle enemies, find secrets, solve puzzles, and explore the world. Battle Chasers Night War, released for PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
You sound like Willem Shatner.
October 3rd,
Battle
2017. A Nintendo Switch version is currently in development.
Ooh.
I would love to play this on a Switch. This is a game that I would play on the Switch. So it's a JRPG. That's kind of.
So you went well the fuck outside of your wheelhouse with this one then.
Again, art style is what got me. And what hooked me, so as you know, I tend to not like turn-based RPGs outside. I've not played a turn-based RPG outside of Pokemon. Like that's the only one that I will say I've actually like played. And I think everybody played Pokemon, let's be honest. But this one, what got me was, I think I told you, it's not fantasy. It's got robots and stuff. So it's like,
you said it's got like, you know, dragons and
it's not magic.
Robots, and there's some magic in there, but it's not really fantasy.
No.
I'm just like, you just defined fantasy. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's magic. That's
there's
fantasy.
An old man. But no, it's one of those things, like the art style reminded me a little bit of like Zelda with your main character that you play as. Her name's Gully. And it was very interesting. And this opening cinematic, again, I'm a sucker for a good cartoon, hooked me. It wasn't anime style, which is, as bad as this is going to sound, I hate the anime style. Like, I hate the big eyeballs. I hate the red faces. I hate that kind of stuff. So the fact that this was more of a Western style made me excited off the bat. And then what really, really, really like put its grips into me was after the opening sequence happens and you figure out what's happening, you come down to this planet, and you're in this world, and it's 2D. Well, it's that weird, like, it's 2D flat, but you can move up and down thing. Z space. It's one of those ones.
Okay.
So you go through that sequence, and you're in. I think they call it exploration areas, what the game calls them. You go through that. You group back up with your team because you'd all fallen out of a ship and had to regroup, and you learn each people's powers and how to manage them and level up and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a JRPG. It's an RPG in general. But then when you're done with that area, you then go into an overworld map. And you're like, okay, I'm in this overworld map, and I can go anywhere. Like, it tells me where I need to go, but I can go anywhere. There's hidden chests everywhere. Like, the one time when I was playing, I was supposed to go, so I was in a town. I was supposed to go talk to somebody down south of the town, then come back up to the town and finish the quest. On the way back up, I was walking up on the path, and I saw to my left that there was a chest there. I was like, I wonder if I can get that. Like, is this locked? Is there any way to get to it? So I started wandering around, as you do. With ADD.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I picture you going right for it. Like me personally, I'd be like, man, I'll find it later. You would be like, how do I get to that fucking thing?
That's literally what happened. Well, I had the split second of like, I'm doing it. So I went in. It was to the west. I went to the west and went to another exploration area, which was really cool because like you see where it's at on the map, and it matches up in the exploration area. So you have to go through this exploration area, come out this end, go to the right to that end. So it all interconnected, even though it felt like two different experiences going on. Battle wise, it felt like a standard RPG when it came to just like you have your super magic points and all that.
Special attack or
and
items.
They had they called it overcharge is what they used or called it. I don't know if that's it. Again, never played really an JRPG, but it was one of those things where like if you got enough overcharge, You could either deal more damage, or you could do special abilities that would happen as they went along. So, in my group, you start off with Golly, and you get a robot. I can't remember the robot's name. He's funny as hell, though. And
voice acting good.
Yeah, that's what really got me as well, is the voice. Like, I hate reading. And it's weird because half of it is voice acted. And half
hate reading, but that's what you do for 90% of the show.
Yes. Well, you know what I'm saying. Like in video games, I want somebody. It's like I think of it like a movie. If you're going to do something like talk to me, please. Talk to me. But like it was weird because half of it was and half of it wasn't. So like when you're in the open world and you're doing like the story based stuff, it's voice acted. But when you go to the towns, you have to read those, but those are usually like quick conversations,
just little text boxes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm at a merchant.
I mean, that's standard RPG stuff.
Yeah. Again, not really played one in my life, but it was a lot of fun when it came to just the exploration, kind of just stumbling upon things. I'm probably again 3 to 4 hours in. I will continue to play this. I can guarantee. I almost popped on the other night, but I played Destiny instead.
Destiny wins.
But like, I'm at the point where I want to do the next thing in the story. The story has intrigued me and gripped me. So basically the story is your ship blows up. Some people attack you. You're thrown off the ship onto this planet. You're all scattered and you have to find everybody. And then from there, I'm guessing there's going to be a second storyline that shows up of like who these people are, why we're combating them, all that kind of stuff. So like the first area you're in, because I don't want to go too far into, I guess, spoiler territory, but the first area you're in, you find out that the town has been ravaged by pirates. So you have to figure out why the pirates are doing what they're doing. And it's really interesting because people don't see humans very often, even though they are humans themselves. Like I guess it may just be your specific race, but they're like, you don't belong here. Right. Why are you here? And you try to tell your story of like, hey, this is what happened, and they can either believe you or not. And trying to figure out why the pirates are there was quite interesting. And goes to your first big battle, I would call it, because before then you have random encounters that happen. They're not necessarily random. You'll see them on the map, but you can't avoid them.
You can't avoid them.
You cannot.
Oh, you cannot. Okay.
Cannot avoid them. So, but they change each time. So one time it could be a slime monster. The next time it could be a bat. The next time it could be something else, which I liked because I used it to level up.
It's adorable that's something you have to explain to a JRPG fan. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. It could be. You never know. Again,
sometimes it's a slime. Sometimes it's a bat.
Sometimes it's other things.
Sometimes it's a different enemy.
But no, the thing I've like, and again, as somebody who's not, and I think it's just because I never played JRPGs, but
you should play more. Did you like it?
Yeah. Again, it's the art style. I don't think I would like Final Fantasy because of the art style.
I mean, I'm looking at the art style from here, and it looks pretty anime. I gotta say, like your main character there's got giant fucking blue eyes.
Calbretto, that's the robot.
But yeah, I mean, it does have obviously Western tinges to it because it's telling a story in the Western world.
Yeah.
Which is, I can understand that as being a different thing. Like, I'd prefer to do, like, swords and sorcery as opposed to, magicka and whatever else, ninja stuff that goes on in JRPGs.
Yeah.
But I can understand that. But I think if you like that overworld, the only thing that would bother you, I think, is the length of the game. Is this a shorter game because it's more of an indie experience?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I would love to know. I want to say it's $40. Let me double check.
Graphically, it looks very pretty.
Oh yeah, like again, that's what got me was the art style, and it's a lot. I say a lot. Just right there.
You just did.
But I don't know if it's because I haven't played a JRPG before, if I've not one that really is.
Well, you played Tales of Zestria, but you didn't like it that much. You thought it was okay, but
it was boring.
It didn't stick.
Yeah, it was boring. Like it was.
See, even I wouldn't play that though because that looked boring anyway. You know what I mean? I know what I'm getting when I get into a Dragon's Quest or a Final Fantasy because I know like the strength of story behind those games. But for me, this one just looked like a little bit
too much.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a $30 game. It's gotten 172 ratings. Got almost 5-star rating on PSN.
It looks good.
It's a wonderful game. I would say if you're a turn-based RPG fan, pick it up. If you're not a turn-based RPG fan, you like Western art style aesthetics, and that's what's been holding you back, do it. I've been surprised by how much I like this game initially. We'll see how long the grind lasts because again, it's single player as well. So that's the other part. Like again, I'm 3 or 4 hours in. That's usually when I'm like, I've come to learn level 12 is like my cap on everything. We're like, if I make it past level 12, I'll continue playing the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, like it's not a thing I do intentionally, but like Elder Scrolls Online, the first time I played, my character stopped at level 12. In Destiny, the first time I played, my character stopped at level 12. Like that just happens to be the level that I'm like.
That's your cutoff.
That's my point of like, do I want to continue going or not? And right now, I'm currently level. Well, each character has their own level, but my main character level I think is 5 or 6.
Sounds like a T-shirt design. So, I made it over level 12, something like that.
Made it over past level 12. I made it. Welcome to the 12th level. Actually, be 13th level technically.
That's true.
But yeah, that's Battle Chasers Night War, $40 or $30 on PSN. I believe it's on Xbox as well, PC. If you like turn-based RPGs, pick it up.
Like a lot of fun.
It's a really cool art style. I'm not the best to describe it because I've never played. I have nothing to compare to.
It's good for you
outside...
to describe it because, excuse me, it's like something just whacked me in my throat. No, it's good for you to describe it because you're someone that's not, traditionally a fan of these types of games. So for you to play it and actually come out and say, you know what, despite like me not generally enjoying these, I enjoyed this. That's high praise.
And I think it actually took the time from my experience to explain combat details and mana, because I know what mana is, and I've heard the phrase before because I used to play Magic the Gathering with friends. I didn't really play it. I watched them play it because I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? This seems too nerdy. But I understood what like the concept of mana, but I didn't understand what it was in terms of like a game. Gotcha. That makes sense? Like I knew the word and I knew what it was, but I didn't know how it kind of influences the game and how to get it back. And of course, like any RPG, you have potions and status effects and buffs.
It doesn't take too long to.
I'm sure it's going to escalate pretty quickly.
To wrap your head around it once you get a
well,
bit
it's like
time,
that's like when I first played Elder Scrolls Online. That was my first RPG, even though it's technically an MMO RPG.
Yeah.
But that was the first one where I had to learn like what a tank was. I had to learn what the different classes. Like I've never heard some MMO and RPG terms that I was like, oh, because this is all, I'm a sports gamer. This is all new to me. So that's why I kind of have liked getting this. And thank you to THQ for giving us to this. They've given us a few keys, THQ Nordic. But they, this game, I'm going to, I don't say I'm going to finish it because I don't know how long it is, but I'm going to continue playing. I'll give a recap here in probably a couple weeks and see where I'm at. Once Destiny dies and Overwatch dies and Elder Scrolls dies.
Then Division 2 comes out.
Well, no, this holiday season, there's nothing I'm going to play.
Really?
Yeah. There's no games I'm excited about.
I was looking at that store this morning, and I was like, God damn, I wish I had like $200 right now because there's so.
That was me
games.
A couple years ago.
So I want to pick up, but yeah,
Battlefront is the only one that's caught my eye. But I'm like, based on loot crates and the fact that I felt burned by the first game is what's holding me back.
Yeah, I'm holding back on that one, but I mean, like literally launch day today. Like there was GT Sport that came out, which has VR elements in it.
That's going to be up on our channel, by the way. James is recording some footage for us.
And then there was that Elex or whatever that looked pretty good, which
I've heard mixed on it. I've heard it's good, but I heard it's not $60 good.
Yeah. So maybe
I feel like I left the board out of my text when I sent it to you.
It's okay. We'll probably wait for a sale on that one. But then there was the one I did pick up, which I missed from last week, which was Shadows of War.
That is very controversial right now.
Yeah, I know, microtransaction bullshit. Yep. I'm just not going to do it. And so there was a couple this morning that I was like, ooh, I wish I had money. But anyway,
what did you pick up and play?
This one I picked up. This is actually a week or so old for me, but because I didn't get time to play anything today because obviously we were recording the show. But I picked up a game called Always Sometimes Monsters, and it is a very interesting take on kind of the Double Fine style of game where it's not like a point and click necessarily. I mean, you do go up and just kind of select on a lot of items, but it's not, you're not moving a cursor. You're just moving your dude and walking him. Your dude is your cursor, like you're moving him around. So I'll give you a little bit of a spiel on it before I get into my thoughts and feelings. Always Sometimes Monsters is a role-playing video game created by Justin Amercani and Jake Reardon, developed by Vagabond Dog, which is an awesome name, and published by Devolver Digital, which is pretty popular.
Yes, they had a sale recently. Is that what you picked it up on?
No, actually, it was a pretty new game.
Oh.
The game puts players in the role of an author who receives notice that the love of their life is marrying someone else across the country within a month. After being evicted from their apartment on the East Coast, players then head to the West Coast in order to intercept the wedding and win back the love they lost. So as you can see, it's like just starting out. It's
I just filled in a question, by the way.
Okay.
Totally forgot it.
There's it's kind of a weird one, right? Because you're thinking like that just sounds like the plot of a rom-com or something. So how is that a video
Is
game?
Ben Affleck in it?
No, I don't believe so. I just haven't got that far yet. But
I haven't got the Ben Affleck DLC.
but it's so here's the thing about it. I liked it and I hated it at the same time, and I feel bad saying that because it definitely doesn't necessarily worthy of hate, but it was a $10 game, so I try and bear that in mind whenever I'm considering my thoughts and feelings about something, and there was so many moments of being completely and utterly lost that it ruined the experience for me. Because I think if I was given like those hints, like we were talking about earlier, if I was given kind of hints on where to progress next, and to an extent there was some, but not really.
And it's one of those things, like, it depends on how they present it, because if it's an environmental hint, you may miss it, versus, like, I've always been a fan of just smack me in the face where I need to go with the waypoint.
Right,
even if you don't show me where it is, just tell me, hey, you need to go to town X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And there was too many times when I was sat there wandering around the streets just being like, where the fuck do I go? Like, I've got no idea. Because you're basically, this is how bad in terms of explaining itself, the game is, and you'll get a kick out of this. It's on the video, too. At the beginning of the game, you're talking to some guy that's going to give you a book deal, and he says, go off and find someone and then come back. And he talks about the partner for your book is going to be mad or something like that. So I go into the party area and I just start talking to random NPCs, and then
as you do,
and one of them's like apparently knows me and is like, and we start talking to him, whatever, and they're like, yeah, we should go talk to him about this book, and I'm like, cool, man. And then it's like, who are you? Like, and so I name it Tom, right? Because I'm boring, so I name it Tom.
Not Bumblebee.
And then the other guy, I'm like, okay, fuck it, it's Keegan. It's gonna be Tom and Keegan. We're gonna write a book. It's gonna be great. And then and then right after I type in the words Keegan, it's like, okay, sweetie, let's go, kiss. And I was like, oh, okay. I was choosing a romantic partner, of which I had no idea. Now again,
this is how
it was
fan
weird.
fiction happens.
So yeah, so here's the thing. Again, absolutely nothing. In fact, I loved the game for the fact that it does allow you to choose a gay partner throughout the journey. It just never told me that's what I was doing. It was never like, this is the love that you're gonna lose. And I was like, I don't think I can do that with Keegan. It's gonna be too weird. So so when it said, is this how you want to proceed? I was like, fuck no. And then I went back and made Jess instead. So there was a female hanging around there, and I chose Jess. So me and Jess were the people in the game. But and then I know you feel bad now.
I like that you name the characters. I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, right. So here's the thing though. I would have really liked to have avoided having to go back and change it by them just kind of explaining to me what I was doing.
Hey,
and
you're about to make out with this person.
Yeah, like literally when you end naming them, you're about to make out with them. Like that was not on the cards for me. I was just like, oh, this is some book thing. The dialogue was weird throughout the entire game, and that was my biggest complaint. Was just that the sort of lack of direction, and the dialogue itself was piss poor. I rarely come out and say I could write better than anything, right? But this is one of those games where I truly, honestly believe that if I sat down in the studio with these guys to write dialogue, that I could have done a better job of it, because it was so just childlike, not
it just
funny, and it's like, well, you could suck my cock, you little dick, and I'm just like, that stuff's like. There was no puns. There was no funny.
That's good if it's like a character and that's what they're for. But if it's not overused, I don't say comedic relief, but they're like the town drunk essentially.
I mean, it wasn't like awful, but it just it was a lot of jilted conversation. It almost reminded me of The Room, that movie, that really bad movie with the dialogue where you're just kind of wondering like, why did you say that?
Well, that's like,
it has nothing to do with anything.
I've had the pleasure of writing scripts for cartoons, and one of the things you think about is how multiple things. This is true if you write anything, but how you want the character to come across, what kind of personality they have, and you basically become that character when you're writing them. And it's like, does this make sense within the whole story? Does it add to anything? Does it take anything away? And one of the things I did with the main character for the story we wrote is he initially started out as like this super jockey dude, and I realized he was a complete asshole. So he went from super jockey to like a nerd jock to like just a nerd essentially, because it fit better with with the whole story of them being secret agents. And it was quite fun with like doing that. And I feel like you tweak your writing based on what the person is, and I feel like if you're just gonna write something, there's no point in doing that.
Yeah, it was very stilted sort of dialogue throughout the whole thing, and they tried to make jokes here and there. Like there was some chick that you talked to in like a club line, and she's like, "Hey, go get me 50 mollies or whatever, and I'll have sex with you," or something weird. And also like there is the occasional mini game pulled in there. There's like one moment I remember from the beginning of the game was they show you a map of how these instruments are laid out on stage, or how they're supposed to be laid out on stage, and then you see like the stage, and you see there's like areas which you're supposed to put an instrument, and your guy is saying, "Hey, why don't you go and like put the instruments up there?" So you kind of vaguely remember the map and put them in the right place, even though it's all kind of off scale. And that's it. Like, that's all right. I did that, and he's like, "Thanks, cool. Do I get anything for doing that? Do I get a benefit, or am I just could I have fucked it up and you wouldn't care?"
Am I just playing errand boy? Like,
yeah, like it doesn't really explain at all what that means. And then you're like fighting with his girlfriend who's trying to put him back on smack, like he's a heroin addict or something. It just like it was trying to approach all these adult themes, but from the viewpoint of a teenager. Was the problem with it. I think if they had some serious writers in there and better directional sense of what is going on, I think it could be great, because it has so many beautiful aesthetics to it. Like the graphics were good. It reminded me of like Twin Peaks in the terms of the surreal nature of all of the characters and what you're doing and the plot and everything. So there's something in there. There's a lot of potential in there, but it was just kind of let down by lack of direction, and I think the dialogue was poor.
Yeah.
But you know, it's $10. So again, you balance that against, is it just me being stupid? Do I just not get it? Like, is this not my humor? Is it someone could play it and really enjoy it? Like,
Did I tell you about the 24-cent game I found yesterday on PSN during a flash sale? And I almost bought it because I'm like, how bad does a game have to be 24 cents? It's normally $5. It was on sale. I almost picked it up. I didn't, though.
So yeah, so that was Always Sometimes Monsters, and Always Sometimes Monsters is a cool title though, and it does have a nice aesthetic to it. So by all means, watch the footage. I reviewed it. I put up some gameplay footage for you, literally my run through of the game, and so you have plenty of stuff to go off there to check it out for yourself. And then I played a second game too. Now, I don't know if it counts as indie because Capcom are not an indie studio, but I wanted to bring it up really briefly if it's okay, because it is a remaster of a classic. And that is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen.
What if I said no?
Well, it'd be too late now, wouldn't it? So Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is originally produced by Capcom, but the weird thing about it was like a budget title for them. It wasn't necessarily like a AAA thing. It was almost like they took a small studio on board and were like, here.
Wasn't Street Fighter? Street Fighter's Capcom, right?
That is.
Okay.
No, not Street Fighter.
Tekken?
Yeah, Resident Evil, those guys. Capcom.
No, Street Fighter is Capcom.
Yeah.
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 I think so. No, it wasn't.
No, I was saying that's not the game though.
No, no, but I was trying to think what Capcom's
Capcom made Street Fighter.
I was trying to think Capcom's big thing.
Absolutely.
Was Resident Evil.
Yeah, so they had their fair share of success, but you know they still dabble in like they're like
just
Vanquish
to give people perspective, Tom.
Well, Vanquish was an indie game to me, even though it was made by Capcom, because Capcom have always kind of been almost like.
Well, were they publisher
Sega
or developer?
Almost, you know.
Because there might be two sections
I'm pretty
of the
sure
company.
they were the developer on this one.
I'd say because there might be two sections.
So anyway, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is a third-person action RPG in the vein of Dragon's Age, but with less dialogue. And basically, you...
it was developed and published by Capcom.
Yeah, you get... oh, it's pasting information in it. That's weird. Good old sync. So you play a character that is known simply as Arisen because you get stabbed by a dragon in the heart, and the dragon rips out your heart with its fingernail and then eats it and says, "Come Arisen, if you want to get your heart back, you've got to defeat me," or something along those lines. You know, JRPG shit.
Normal stuff.
And but here's the thing. This is why I think you might like it, because it is a very Japanese game. It's Capcom, so it's a very Japanese game. In a lot of elements, but it is completely Western built. So it is all like archers and swordsmen and medieval and dragons and that kind of stuff.
You're assuming I like dragons and medieval.
Well, I just it's more Western, isn't it? That's a more Western RPG, like Elder Scrolls type stuff, as opposed to
Ironically, Western. Well, I guess it's Western, west of Asia. I was gonna say it's more European.
Well,
because we didn't have dragons and knights.
that's fair.
You had them in Europe. You didn't have them in
For
the
me,
United
that's
States.
a correct sentence. For you, maybe not. But so Dragon's Dogma came out to massive praise. No one thought it was going to be any good, and it was fucking brilliant. It was really clever story, really good set piece moments. The nice part about it was you'd have these kind of wild, like there was nowhere was safe. You could go wherever you wanted to, exploration wise, but then like you might come across a monster that's 200 times your level and will just fucking wreck your shit and then leave you. So there's a lot of kind of, it's almost Dark Soulsy in that sense. If you can go wherever you want to, but you might get wrecked if you go around.
Well, it's like Elder Scrolls does that too.
Right. But you have these sort of traveling companions that are called pawns, and you pull them down from this ether, basically, where you're like, you can go into this kind of weird area where you're walking around, and they just kind of, it's almost like they just have a room full of creator characters that they just randomly generated, and you just get to pick one that you want to come with you on your journey as part of your party member. And later in the game, you can actually pick other people's characters that are really overpowered and kind of, like other people, basically. So, that being said, it does have traditional elements of choose like a warrior or a rogue or a mage, and then it has subsections of those as well. So, if you want to become an assassin or whatever it might be, then they have like secondary levels on top of it.
I think we should make a video, because we talk about like warrior, rogues, and mages, and I'm like, I kind of understand them. I'm gonna make a how-to.
Warrior is just a big dude with a sword. Rogue is a little dude that's usually a thief and has daggers and an arrow, and mage is a magician.
I was just thinking, because somebody who doesn't play a lot of these things is like, oh, there's no video that tells me what these are.
We could do RPGs for
David,
for dummies.
If you're listening,
David,
I know you are.
Make the video.
You're making a video. We got one for you.
Especially if you want to go into the subgenres, because that's when they get really interesting.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there should be a video of like, this is what this class is.
But Dark Arisen was kind of like the updated version of Dragon's Dogma, where they added just a bunch of stuff, like enemies and weapons and locale.
Did it get dark?
All that kind of stuff. It got a little bit dark and a little bit Arisener. And then they remastered it. So now you have Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen Remastered, which is the one that I played.
And then you'll have Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen Remastered 4K.
Yeah.
You have Dragon's Dogma
and the cycle
Master
continues.
4K HDR.
But it was, so here's the thing, like the cutscenes and everything are still terrible. Like they're still like obviously PS3 cutscenes.
Yeah.
Stupid facial expressions and just not very good. But the onboard tweaks that they made to the general gameplay and sort of the improvements made there are wonderful. Like it does feel like a new age game when you're playing it. And it's just got so much heart to it. It's a cult classic in my eyes. It's the same as Okami. It's the same as one of those, like, it's going to be one of those games that in 20 years people are going to be trying to find it because of how fucking good it was, and it's going to be $300 to buy it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so Capcom...
Write it down in your calendars now.
Yeah, like, pick it up digitally, play it. At least have a chance to play it. Maybe pick up... I don't know if they have a physical copy, but pick it up if there is one. But yeah, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen Remastered was the other game I've been playing, and I only consider it indie because it's been through so many iterations over the years, and it was a small title for Capcom to put together that made a large impact, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. $30 was how much it cost me, and worth every penny.
It is physical, if you want it.
Awesome. There is a physical copy.
There is physical. $30.
Worth it.
Cool. That's our spotlights for this week.
That'd be that.
We both had two. We didn't plan that. This kind of happened. You always have two, though. You always have 1.5. Then I always have a half of one.
I would say so.
But I'm super excited to continue Battle Chasers Last Wind Monk. We'll see if that continues going. Like I said, I'll do a review of it. Moving on to the question that I wrote as you were telling me your
that I'm reading
thing.
now for the first time.
What is one game that you played outside of your normal wheelhouse and loved?
I'm going to let you go first.
So... what brought this question on was the fact that I was talking about Battle Chasers and the fact that I, outside of Pokemon, have not played a JRPG. And I wouldn't say I love that game yet because I'm not far enough in. So far it's intrigued me, but I'm not in love with it. The one I would say that really got me, and you probably know this answer, The Division. Like, I've played shooters before. I'm very casual shooter fan. Like, when I play them, I like being competitive and to get into them, but I don't get into like every shooting game, and I tend to not look at myself as a shooter fan in general, because I just never... Halo is like the only one I can think of that I constantly played. Call of Duty, I played Modern Warfare 2, but even then I didn't play it. I had it because my roommate in college had it, and everybody came to my dorm room to play because we had 2 Xboxes set up because we were the dork room, and we had 2 TVs set up to play it. I was playing Trials HD at the time that everybody else was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. If you look at my Xbox profile, which you guys can't see, but if you look at my Xbox profile, my personal one, I have
His password is.
I've 100%ed Modern Warfare 2, but I did not do that. It's everybody in my dorm. Like, everybody played on my account in my dorm.
Fair enough.
But no, The Division, like, again, I've been a shooter fan. I've never really done third-person shooters. Like, even as an Xbox guy, I never got into Gears of War. I never really got into anything of that kind of nature. And Division, what got me hooked on that, again, art style, New York is really what hooked me on that one. And then being able to run around New York and the story, the post-apocalyptic. Unlike a lot of people, I really like the story of Division, but I think it's because I paid attention to it. I know
not at all.
A lot of people I ran around with had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it, and I love seeing how the characters intertwine together. But that was probably my first, like, I guess Elder Scrolls was probably the first RPG, but that was my first true RPG that I knew what I was doing. And it was a strict RPG, essentially, with shooter elements into it. And it was cool because I got to play with my friends. It's online still. But I built my character. I named him Chuck. He ended up looking like Lenny Kravitz unintentionally.
I remember.
And then I think he had a sister named Lucy that level 12, I think is where she stopped. Maybe level 15, I'm not sure. And I might have gone back and leveled it up a little bit.
It could be like, you know how they have, like, they rate, like, women or men out of 10. They'd be like, oh, she's a 7. He's
Did you rate games?
He's an
Did
8.
he get past
yeah,
level 12?
Like, this character's a 12. This one's a 15.
Yeah.
I stuck with that one.
But that was one that I got into. I got literally to the nitty gritty of best DPS, best layout. Like, James played healer in that. David played a lot of DPS in that. I played kind of DPS and suppressor. So I would have what was called the Firecrest suit on. So it let me do a flame turret that had a 30-foot flame versus like a 15-foot flame or something, or 20-foot flame. So I was able to push people back.
All the flames.
Yeah, all the flames. And then I had a thing that if I killed somebody, I would get health back. But I even, like, I went down and that's the only game to this point, even Destiny hasn't done this to me yet, I'm sure it might, is I've gone in when I get the drops, I would save stuff for either a second character or so I could swap it out. Because normally in games like that, like Destiny, whenever I get something new, I tend to either break it down and get the parts, or I'm going to infuse it in something level what I currently have.
So you have multiple outfits
I have
ready
almost
for different occasions.
I have almost every I can't remember what they call them because it's been a while now, but like the high-end gear where they're special. So they have the high-end stuff where if you get 4 of each of a gear sets. That's what they call them.
There you go.
If you get 4 of a gear set, you get all 4 perks unlocked. And then but each one after 2 you get a perk for something. So it's 2, 3, and 4 you get perks. So I would have 4 and 2 of one. That way you get both double perks there. And I would go through and mix and match and kind of figure out what works best for me. And that's where Sticky Bob came from when I played. I think you remember that.
Shit out of me.
I stole that from Jacksepticeye, but I used to scream that whenever we would play. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember. So one of my favorite Division moments.
I just had PTSD.
One of my favorite Division moments was when we didn't know we were supposed to play the hard thing before we were level 20, 30?
Was that the one I played?
Yeah. That's when we were stuck on the roof for like
5 hours.
Yeah. But we did it.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to, but we did it.
Yeah.
So,
by hook or by crook, we got through that fucker.
So, yeah, The Division is one of those games, like I said, it's an RPG that I never really got into. I guess Elder Scrolls could be part of that, too. That's another game I never really thought I'd see myself in. That's mainly because I'm playing with friends. If I played that by myself, I wouldn't enjoy it. Because I've hopped on by myself now. I'm like, this is no fun. I need somebody to talk to. But no, the Division really, really gripped me with the RPG elements, the building a character up. Outside like sports games, I never really got into that. And I put over 300 or 400 hours at this point, and I don't know exactly.
And now you're pretty adept with the old RPGs.
Yeah,
play a lot of them.
Soon I'll be with JRPGs.
Yeah,
turn-based RPGs. Who knows?
That'd be great.
Maybe I'll get Final Fantasy 16 when it comes out. Maybe 17
will probably be they don't tend to do like them in order. They always do one and then they do 3 variations of that one.
It'll be 15
like
too.
15.2 or like 16 will be online or something stupid like that.
Hey, I'm cool with online.
Not if you have to pay for it. It's
I pay for the Elder Scrolls online.
That's true.
So
they have Final Fantasy 14 online. You might like that.
Yeah.
I've always
too weird.
Yeah.
It's not Western enough. I like my Western stuff.
Well, maybe they'll make a Final Fantasy based in the West.
Could you imagine if they made...
They tweak it.
a Final Fantasy based in the U.S.?
I mean, the newest one is close. It's close because there's a lot of like you driving your car around the wilderness. Like there's a lot of elements of like the Great American Road Trip about it. But you have to go to gas stations. Everyone in the gas stations kind of Americanized. I mean, you're still running around on giant yellow birds and stuff. But yeah, it's the closest they've been for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
what about you? What's one game that you're like, I wouldn't normally play that, and it could be even for the channel that you're like, I played it and I was like, I'm surprised I liked it. Because this channel has definitely made me come out of my shell a little bit because I used to just be strictly sports.
I mean that's one of the benefits I think is that it actually forces us to play games that we might not normally play. But I would say I've had a few over the eras. There's one that sticks out to mind more modernly, and that is Oxenfree, because I fucking love that game, and it's one of my favorite games. It's like on my top 10 list at this point of games. And normally, if I'm playing like a narrative-driven thing like that, where I'm just side-scrolling for a little while, there's no way I would see it through to the end. I might pay attention to like for an hour or two, get pretty far in the story, but I would never stick and make it through. So
an hour or two is your level 12.
Yeah, an hour or two is my level 12. There's no leveling in Oxenfree that I'm aware of, but like there's just kind of like there's a point where there'll be a big twist or something will happen, and I'll just be like, okay, that thing just happened. It's been about an hour or 2 hours. Am I?
Well, I remember being in the cave the first time, being like, what's going
with the
on?
lights and everything. Yeah.
Like,
It definitely got its hooks in fast, and the dialogue was amazing in that game. That is an example of well-written dialogue versus the Always Sometimes Monsters. But yeah, that's not the type of thing I normally play. Like I don't tend to play those types of indie games.
Did it change your viewpoint on potentially looking at other ones?
Absolutely.
In that
That's
genre?
one of the reasons why I picked up Burly Men at Sea, was because I enjoyed the idea of this sort of dialogue that was going to be progressing through. And I mean, Burly Men at Sea turned out to be a whole other kettle of fish, no pun intended. But yeah, Oxenfree definitely was one that was well outside of my wheelhouse and something I probably would not have looked at twice into one of my favorite games of all time. Because like Firewatch, that came out at a similar time frame, but the same week or two. I knew I would like that. I knew it was indie, but I knew I would like it because I just could tell. But Oxenfree was a complete, like, from the unknown. Yeah. I also happen to like Street Fighter Puzzle Quest.
Never heard of it.
So it was basically
Street
a combination
Fighter
of like it's a match 3 with the Street Fighter characters. So you would be like do like match 3 like Tetris stuff, and then if
is it like Dr. Mario?
A little bit, yeah. And when you hit like a good thing or whatever, your character would like knock health off the other one. I got well into that for a while for some reason. I just loved that game. It was super like pick up and play and forget about it. Again, perfect for the Switch. And then what was another one I was thinking of?
Limelight would be one for me, but even then, I've always been a fan of puzzlers. But it was that's so simplistic that I didn't. I think that was one that kind of blew me away how much I loved it, because I like Hue was one of those games I knew going in. I was like, I'm gonna enjoy this because of what it is.
Yeah.
Limelight, I went in and I was like, let me try this, and I ended up, as you know, falling in love with that game. And it's super short, but the progression system was
smart.
Yeah, it was so well done. And it sucks when games like that don't get the praise or the press they deserve, because you're like, this is like, I've had people buy the games. I'm like, you need to play it. Like, I don't care, just play it.
I have a fun section coming up in our podcast for Friday, which I think you're going to like, which is kind of talking about indie developers at large and the ones that have the hits and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to enjoy that. But yeah, no, those ones, and probably the only other one I could think of is Alien vs Predator Extinction, which is a super vague title that no one's ever heard of. But Alien vs Predator Extinction, which we were going to play for the channel at one point, but the fucking disc doesn't work, is a command and conquer.
We played Jaws instead. That was the death of our Let's Plays.
Easily bad decision. We make them.
Yeah.
So Alien vs Predator Extinction was a command and conquer style RTS strategy game. So it was kind of like you have the overworld, you send your troops out, they open up more of the world, you might get attacked by things, you have to defend your base, you have to build more buildings, like that kind of thriving thing. And I don't ever play those games at all. So that one, mostly because of the hook of the fact it was a franchise I loved, I played that fucker all the way through to the end.
We need to do another. We have not done Gamer's Choice in a while. We need to. Those of you who don't remember Gamer's Choice, if you weren't around for, basically pick a game for the other one to play, and we play it for half an hour, and
just
kind of
get opinions.
Just be like, hey, what do you think of this? And it's game. I think
I also want to do another shittest game possible competition, like V-Stock. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's.
I know which one I'm already buying.
You do?
Yeah, I already know. Assuming it'll
Britney
be there.
Spears.
I can't tell you.
Okay.
But.
So yeah, that is those are my picks.
Cool.
Yeah. That's indie.
What games did you guys play outside your wheelhouse, and why did you pick them up? What made you what drew you to them? Because that's always the interesting thing of like, why did I get this game? For us, usually,
what
right
about
now,
it sang to you? Was it the art style?
Yeah.
Was it
Because for us right now, a lot of it for me is like codes we get, and we request codes, but we probably get maybe 20% of the codes we request if we're lucky. Probably less than that.
Less than that. Yeah.
And even then, it's just like some of the codes we get. Like, I'm interested, but I don't like Battle Chasers. I would have never played if I didn't get a code for, and that's awesome. And it's not me saying, "Hey, look, we got codes." It's more of like, I would not have experienced this game without it. And there's so many games out there now that
when
like,
given the option to experience something for free, you are surprised at what you learn about things that you would have previously ignored if they cost money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Metal Gear Solid 5. I now have that game to play. I've had no interest. I watched you shoot the fire whale or play the fire whale, and that's all I remember.
I might restart that game and then give it another shot. One thing that I did do about it was if you fire it up on your birthday, all the men on your little ship come and say happy birthday to you, which I thought was adorable.
Oh, how's it know it's your birthday?
I think you put it in somewhere. It does it off the PlayStation clock.
It's probably on the PSN account.
Yeah, it's Metal
sense.
Gear. They have their ways of making you think like, what the fuck are you? How do you know that? But
if you put on a VR headset while playing it, you get teleported into the world.
That would be great.
That would be. I don't think that happens, but that'd be
Metal
cool.
Gear VR. Let's make that shit happen.
Konami won't make that happen.
No, maybe Kojima could like make a version of it.
Well, he doesn't own Metal Gear.
Well, no, but like that's why I said a version of it. Just
knockoff.
Make Metal Gear, but just call it something else, like Mighty Number 9.
Call it Metal Steel.
Yeah, Iron Peg.
Yeah,
Liquid.
Iron Peg with hole.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is Indie Please Add Details, our weekly dip into the indie world of indie developers. We talk the news. We have a discussion at the end.
Man, it's taking a while to get through that one.
Yeah, I screwed that. Let's try that again. This is Indie Please Add Details. This is our weekly dip into indie games and indie developers, where we discuss the news and indie excursions throughout the week. We top it all off with a discussion that you can join. You can list us on your favorite podcast services, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you want to. If you have a cool app, tell us about it, because I've seen some pretty cool apps out there. Or you can watch our lovely faces online at level2gamers.com on YouTube, along with some gameplay, reviews, videos, gameplay footage.
We've been bulking the channel up a little bit. I hope you like it. If you have been noticing that, then let us know.
To continue the discussion.
All right, let me do this one. To continue the conversation off air online. Go on.
You gotta finish it.
Well, no.
Hit us up on Twitter, Love2GamersSTL, or on Discord, link in the description. Also, a little fun fact about Discord. If you guys are in there and you want to play a game ever, just hit me up. If I have it, I'll potentially hop on. Like the other day, we were like, who wants to play Overwatch? We all hopped in Overwatch. Who wants to play Destiny? Well, Destiny's kind of hard because it's got limited party size, but Overwatch is 6. It's usually pretty good and you get everybody in there. So if you are in our Discord and you want to play and you own Overwatch or you own some other multiplayer game, just hit me up and I'll see if I have it. And if I do, I'll gladly find time to play with you. It's a lot of fun.
We play with gamers.
Yeah. Rocket League. Do Rocket League every so often.
Rocket League's
that's real easy.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys so much for watching Indie Please Add Details episode 9. Hang out the rest of the week. Tomorrow we got Codename Morpheus episode
12.
There you go. You got it. 12. And then on Friday we got podcast 43, I believe, because I think I said 42
you got
last
it wrong
year.
Last time.
I think it's 43.
I think 43 is where we're at.
Yeah, I think it's 43 or 44. But thank you guys so much for watching.
And as always,
welcome
to the
second
level.
Bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.